பொதிகை சமூகத்தின் மகிழ்ச்சி.
இந்தியாவை வளர்ந்த நாடாக நாம் மாற்ற வேண்டும். வரப்புயர நீர் உயரும், நீர் உயர நெல் உயரும், நெல் உயர குடி உயரும், குடி உயர கோல் உயரும், கோல் உயர கோல் உயருவான். ஓகே, வரப்பு நெல்லு, திஸ் இஸ் வாட் ரியலி மேக் தி நேஷன் கிரேட்.
வணக்கம் நேயர்களே, புதியதோர் உலகம் செய்வோம் இந்த வார நிகழ்ச்சிக்கு உங்களை அன்போடு வரவேற்கிறேன். ஒவ்வொரு வாரமும் இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியின் மூலமாக பல தேவையான விஷயங்களை நாங்கள் மக்களுக்கு கொண்டு சேர்க்கிறோம். சமீப காலமாக நிபுணர்கள் சில பேரை அழைத்து இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியில் அவங்கள பேட்டி கண்டு அக்ரிகல்ச்சரை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும், வேளாண்மையை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் உலக அளவில் சர்வதேச அளவில் என்னெல்லாம் நடக்குது அப்படிங்கிறத பற்றி நம்ம டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணிக்கிட்டு இருக்கோம். இன்னைக்கு நம்ம சந்திக்க போகிற நபர் டாக்டர் NK கிருஷ்ணகுமார் அவர்கள். இந்த பயோடைவர்சிட்டி இன்டர்நேஷனல், பயோவர்சிட்டி இன்டர்நேஷனல்னு சர்வதேச அளவில் சுற்றுச்சூழல் பாதுகாப்புக்காக இயங்குகிற ஒரு நிறுவனம், அமைப்பு. இந்த அமைப்போட ஆசிய அளவில் ஒரு ரீஜனல் ஹெட்டாக இவர் இருக்காரு. அவரை இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியில சந்திக்க போறோம். பிரபு, அவர் இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியில நம்மளுக்காக என்னத்தை கான்சென்ட்ரேட் பண்ணி பேச போறாரு?
இப்போ பாத்தீங்கன்னா இந்தியா முழுக்க நம்ம நாட்டில் மரபணு மாற்றத்து பயிர் பற்றி, GMO, BT, அதை பற்றி நிறைய பாமரன்லேருந்து பெரிய ஆள் வரைக்கும் அதை பற்றி மாற்று கருத்துகள், அதை சப்போர்ட் பண்ணுறவங்க, அதை அப்போஸ் பண்ணுறவங்க. பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அதோட விழுக்காடு வந்து அதை அப்போஸ் பண்ணுறவங்க வேண்டான்னு சொல்கிறவங்க தான் ஜாஸ்தி. ஏன்னு கேட்டிங்கன்னா, பாரம்பரிய விதைகள், பாரம்பரிய ரகங்கள் யூஸ் பண்ணோன்னா இட் ஹஸ் ஆல்வேஸ் பீன் ப்ரூவ்ட். அது வந்து நமக்கு சுற்றுச்சூழலுக்கு மட்டும் இல்லை, நம்ம ஹெல்த்துக்கும் அது ரொம்ப ஆரோக்கியத்துக்கும் நல்லதுன்னு ப்ரூவ் ஆகிருக்கு. இதில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா பயோவர்சிட்டி இன்டர்நேஷ்னல் இவங்களோட இந்த சர்வதேச நிறுவனம் இருக்கு இல்லையா, இது வந்து குளோபலி நாட்டின் பல பகுதிகளில் அவங்க உலக அளவில் அவங்களோட ப்ரெசன்ஸ் இருக்குது. இவங்க பார்த்தீங்கன்னா இந்த பாரம்பரியத்தை நோக்கின்ற மாதிரி பாரம்பரிய விதைகளை சேமித்து வைத்து பாரம்பரிய விவசாயத்தை ஊக்குவித்து அந்த மாதிரியான ப்ராஜெக்டில் பண்ணிகிட்டு இருக்காங்க. இவங்க வந்து ரொம்ப ஆச்சரியம் என்னென்னா, ஒரு யுனைடெட் நேஷன்ஸோட இது லிங்க் இருக்கக்கூடிய இவங்க இன்டர்நேஷ்னல் ஆர்கனைசேஷன் ஒரு பாரம்பரியத்தை எந்த அளவுக்கு ஊக்குவிக்கிறாங்க அப்படின்னு தான். அது வந்து ஒரு ஆஃப்ரிக்காவில் ஏதாவது ஒரு ப்ராஜெக்ட் பண்ணுறாங்கன்னா அந்த நாட்டுக்குரிய அந்த கலாச்சாரத்துக்குரிய அது ஒன்றி அதை என்கரேஜ் பண்ணுறாங்க. நம்ம நாட்டில் அந்த ரீஜன் ஸ்பெசிஃபிக், அந்த ஸ்டேட் ஸ்பெசிஃபிக் மாநிலத்துக்கு இருக்கிறத ஊக்குவிக்கிறாங்க. இப்போ ரீசெண்டாக அவங்க இனிஷியேட் பண்ணியிருக்கிறது பார்த்தீங்கன்னா மத்திய பிரதேஷ்லேயும் இப்போ ஒரு 2 நாளைக்கு முன்னாடி முரப்பாக்கம் கிராமம் இருக்குல்ல, மதுராந்தகம் பக்கத்தில், அங்கே வந்து சீட்ஸ் ஃபார் நீட்ஸ், அதாவது தேவைக்கேற்ப விதை, இதை வந்து விவசாயிகளை ஊக்குவித்து இயற்கை வேளாண்மையில் இந்த பாரம்பரிய நெல் விதைகளை இது பண்ண வச்சு SRI மெத்தடில், அதாவது சிஸ்டமேட்டிக் ரைஸ், ஒத்தை நாற்றுன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க இல்லையா, ஒத்தை நாற்று நடவில் வச்சு அந்த சீட்ஸை திருப்பி வாங்கி திருப்பி விவசாயிகளுக்கு டிஸ்ட்ரிபியூட் பண்ணி.
இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் நம்ம இந்திய அளவில் மட்டும் இல்லை, உலகத்தில் பல பகுதிகளில் இருந்து இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியை பார்க்குறாங்க. ஸோ ரீச் அதிக அளவில் இருக்கணும் அப்படிங்கிறதுக்காக தான் இந்த நேர்காணலை நாங்கள் ஆங்கிலத்தில் கொடுக்குறோம். கண்டிப்பாக நாங்கள் வந்து சப்டைட்டில் தமிழில் கொடுக்க போகிறோம். அது வந்து டெஃபினட்டாக உங்களுக்கு பயன்படும் விதமாக இருக்கும் நம்புகிறோம். நிகழ்ச்சியில் போய் அவரை சந்திச்சுட்டு வரலாம். மீண்டும் உங்களை சந்திக்கிறோம்.
Good morning, Dr. Krishna Kumar.
Good morning, Prabhu.
So it's been a very great pleasure to have you on board for us with this program. Have you been seeing our program on TV?
Yeah, I have been seeing your program more or less regularly on every Sunday at 8:30. I have been watching programs. In fact, I have been fascinated by many of the programs.
What did you find it interesting in some of the programs or all the programs?
The programs that especially I like is it touches the pulse of the problems associated with farmers. It touches the day-to-day problems associated with the farming community and also provides solutions. And more than anything, you are also involving the youth, the marginal farmers, and how to make sure that agriculture can go in a scientific pathway by addressing some of the most critical issues, and you are not just planning for today, but you are also thinking of a futuristic perspectives, keeping the marginal farmers and also the younger generation in perspective.
Well, then that brings us to the main crux of our interview now. Sir, you are heading the international research organization called Bioversity International, right?
Yeah.
So you are the country head for it. So can you give us a small description on what type of work your organization is involved in?
Yeah. See, when I will just go in a slightly from a smaller perspective. You have in your state Tamil Nadu Agriculture University and many others who are doing the research and also the development through the state departments for the Tamil Nadu state. At the national level, you have so many agricultural universities, Indian Council of Agricultural Research, CSIR labs, and many others are addressing the issues concerning with agriculture and also associated fields. But we are living in a globalized world. We are a part of a global society. The world has, when we say a globalized village, what is really happening is India is a part of South Asia, South Asia is a part of Asia, Asia is a part of the entire globalized world. There are many problems that are associated or not limited to the boundaries of one country or a region where the entire world community should address the problem. Keeping this in view, whether it is the consortium of agriculture research for international agriculture research, whether it is for, like you know, the Manila International Rice Research Institute is there, CIMET is there for the maize and also for wheat. We have ICRISAT in Hyderabad. Like that, ours is one of the organization. Originally it was called as the International Bureau for Plant Genetic Resources. It was called as IBPGRI, and now it is called as Bioversity International, because we don't want to be limited only for the plant genetic resources, but entire agricultural biodiversity and its implications to agriculture for the future is the core essence. In fact, our motto is agricultural biodiversity sustains life and it provides livelihood security for the future. This is our motto and with which this organization works.
I'd like to have your views on what is it that we need to do to bring in more youth into this agriculture arena.
A wonderful question. Only let us accept that in a country like ours, which is basically South Asia, we are one of the part of a country which is better developed than many others in South Asia. The share of agriculture in the GDP is also reducing. It is hardly about 14 to 14.5%. But what is significant in your question is, in spite of whatever may be the percentage of the GDP, 50 to 60% of the population are still dependent on agriculture. So it is not a question of what proportion of money comes from agriculture, but it is a question of 60% of the Indian population. That means more than 60 to 70 crores of persons in India are one way or the other way dependent on agriculture. A significant proportion of them are absolutely youth. Now the question is, no matter what we do, agricultural sustains the livelihood security, food security, nutritional security, and whatever we do, it is at least in the short span of time, we will not be able to productively absorb our youth in many other spheres. And the flip side of it is, agriculture itself, if it is scientific application is made, can provide a wonderful opportunities for many of the youngsters to make the a very decent livelihood, provided we adopt certain scientific pathways. For example, let me just tell you an example. Tremendous revolution has taken place in the IT industry. The country has progressed a lot in the IT industry. But how far the marriage of the IT and agriculture has come together? How far are our educated youths, instead of mass scale migration from rural to peri-urban and urban areas, if they can many a times think, whether it is through, like in the Israeli model of drip irrigation, scientific application of fertilizer, use of horticulture, animal husbandry, fisheries, reducing the cost, applications of IT technology and the other applications in biotechnology and many other fields. If these are the things in which educated youths can be an example for many of the rural youths and do a hand holding, I am sure the pathway to what Gandhiji visualized as a kind of the development of the nation through the grassroots level rural development is possible.
Sir, you mean to say that the youth in different areas, this IT youth and other people you are mentioning in different arenas, that wedding with the agriculture has still not happened in the country? Because we are speaking of India becoming a IT revolution and a new India, a bright rural India and things like that. We have been seeing that. And what you are saying is totally contradictory to what we are hearing.
The development in the IT sector, whether it is supporting the aviation industry, whether it is supporting the railways, whether it is with regard to application of satellite technology to many other spheres. But in truth, let me give an example. 90% of this population in this country are the poor farmers who basically grow rice, wheat, jawar, ragi, other millets, groundnut and many other things that they grow. They buy the seed from some retailer. The most of the time they are not even, they don't have a first-hand access to a scientific information.
What do you think is the reason for that?
The reason for that is, let us accept that whatever we do, our transfer of technology that has to reach at the grassroots level in a very scientific way can be greatly enhanced if you bring in the applications of IT technology. Till such a time that is not available, most of the time at the interior villages, the farming community is at the mercy of the retailer who sells everything. He will go and ask him what seeds to buy, what pesticides to spray, which is the best variety that is doing. And most of the time, the person who gives information to the farming community is also very marginally informed. Now this is where
That's half-baked knowledge.
half-baked knowledge. Now supposing there is an interface of a computer where we bring the producer and the supplier into a database, and that database automatically connects to a virtual pathway to a, the country has got innumerable scientists and technical staff who are knowledge based, and their services could be utilized by the person who is selling the seeds and other inputs, and that can be directly transferred to the farmer, and that technology is going to revolutionize the way we do agriculture.
You mean to say creating a portal for the growers, the buyers,
Yes.
the consumers,
Consumers.
everybody?
It is more or less how we do it, how we buy books, how we do order in a virtual world, how do we order an air ticket. So the same thing should mimic in our agriculture, so that this is where, and this provides a tremendous opportunity, one of the opportunities for our youth. As you really see, what is today's the grassroots level of the Indian farmer? We have produced 265 million tons of food, 45 million tons of food is stored in the godowns, but the public distribution system
and
is
several
not,
million is getting rotted.
million is getting rotten, and what is really required is, many a times the farmer is not able to get the support. His main problem is marketing. And if you really want to enhance the farmer with regard to, as Honorable Prime Minister tells, along with this he should also have money in his pocket, the farmer should become economically more prosperous. And if he has to become prosperous, farmer has to be provided a market linkage. And if market linkage has to be provided, believe me, it is not the Tamil Nadu state, it is the entire globe is your market.
Okay.
And that is possible only through an IT interface.
So one pertinent question is, since you are so much involved in this preservation of biodiversity and biodiversity, I think both mean the same except for an alphabet change. Don't you think that in the name of modernization, we have done a very big damage to our ecological system, our biodiversity system? We have totally destroyed it. Everywhere there's concrete jungles. In fact, I feel that the climate clock has totally been changed. We get rains when there are supposed to be a sunshine, the heat waves, suddenly you have very high temperatures, and everything has changed. What is your take on this?
An excellent question. What I really feel is, even the United Nations has nowadays, one of the UN goals is the sustainable development. you are indirectly asking what is our sustainability for the years to come and the decades to come. For example, for any soil, Honorable Prime Minister, when he tells about soil fertility and soil health card, we know that very well that the soil organic carbon, in farmers' lay terms, if a farmer goes to buy a land, he will take a small, in his hand, a little bit of soil, and then he will say whether the soil is fertile or not fertile, in general terms. Even when he buys a farmyard manure, he will smell it and say it is fertile or not. Indirectly, he is measuring the soil organic carbon. For a good soil, 1.5% of soil organic carbon has to be there. It is like comparing for a normal human being, if he has to be healthy, at least about 10 to 12% hemoglobin has to be there. But unfortunately in this country, soil organic carbon is like 0.3% to 0.4%. That means it is equivalent to a human being having hemoglobin of 4 to 5%, and you cannot
Which is
get
anemic.
anemic, and you can't get Olympic gold medal if a person is having 4.5% hemoglobin, and no matter how much of B complex he takes, he is not going to be very healthy. In fact, our agriculture has become a little sick. The soil has become sick.
Sir, is it a little sick or very sick?
Depends on which region of the country we are talking. There are regions like Western Ghats, there are regions like northeastern part of India which are relatively better. Deccan Plateau, parts of Western India, in fact have become really where the soil is so poor that it will take. In fact, we have spoiled our soil. George Washington, the first president of the United States, said, nothing in my opinion is more valuable to a country than the top 6 inches of the soil.
Okay.
And when Honorable Prime Minister tells soil health card, he is telling please preserve this top 6 inches of the soil for the future prosperity.
What do you think is the reason for the soil getting spoiled?
One is our population pressure, our need to produce more food. We have brought extensively land under cultivation, but we have not done progressively a scientific farming. Flood irrigation, periodic droughts, lack of land cover, and continuously growing monocropping crops such as rice after rice or wheat after wheat, or without even a legumes or a nitrogen fixation. The organic matter is not even, for example, you know, in Punjab, after the rice is harvested, every rice is burnt to prepare the land for wheat. So we are burning the soil organic carbon that should go back to the soil, and as a result, entire soil is becoming sick.
So you mean to say that we'll have to concentrate more on sustainable and organic agriculture?
Exactly. Sustainability is, it is not a fancy term. Sustainability means I am able to take the maximum from the whatever that is possible today without compromising the interest of the future generation. Mahatma Gandhi also said the same thing. This earth that you have inherited is a loan from the future generations. You have to preserve and pass it on. But what have we done? We have reduced the soil organic carbon to 0.3%. The water table has gone from 40 feet to 300 to 1000 feet below. And if you can see that the forest cover has come down, there are very few pollinators because indiscriminate use of pesticides has actually spoiled, is killing the pollinators, dime a dozen, and our water bodies are polluted. We are thinking of the cleanest of the river Ganges to be clean, and that is not only for Ganges, it is the plight of all the rivers. When your soil is sick, when your water is sick, when you don't have pollinators, believe me, we have to recalibrate our thinking on agriculture, and that is what sustainable agriculture is.
So when you mean of sustainable agriculture, do you mean to say that we have lost our knowledge on sustainable agriculture in the last 3 or 4 decades, or do you mean to say we have to take it up in a new genre, in a new, comparatively in a better, in a modern way of doing it? Because when we talk of sustainability, it's not new, it's been there for traditions, it's been there for years, and we, the farmers or anybody else, in the last 3 or 4 decades, they have gone into this new type of chemicals and fertilizers.
Let me answer your question in a slightly different perspective. About 50 years back, as soon as we got our independence, let us say in 1947, we had only 50 million tons of food. Poverty was rampant, hunger was rampant, there was no food, we were starving. That was a time when more area had to come. Our first priority was no matter what, provide food. So it was right at that particular point of time to make an investment to produce more. Now that we are actually becoming more and more apparently self-sufficient, I use the word very cautiously, apparently self-sufficient, now we have to think that when India is the largest producers of rice, wheat, cotton and many other crops, we are the second largest producer of fruits and vegetables. Now the question is, we have to somehow conserve this kind of production and productivity for the future. At this particular point of time, if you don't apply ecological principles to our agriculture, today it may appear very okay, but in the decades to come, even to maintain the existing level of productivity will become very difficult.
Sir, when we speak of biodiversity, how do you make it simple for a common man to understand? See, the policy makers, there are people, so many scientists who talk of biodiversity, safeguarding biodiversity, but a common man should know what biodiversity is, and policymakers should know it. So in simple terms, what do you really mean by that term, biodiversity?
Many persons are using biodiversity in ways that is sometimes very confusing for a common farmer, common citizen or a policy maker to understand. Let us take for example forest. Who is giving fertilizer in a forest? Who is spraying the forest? But forest automatically always looks green, fresh, and there are no great diseases or insects. What is it that makes the forest automatically to set itself right? Why is it that in ocean we don't do any interference? Yes, agriculture, basically when we have to produce more food, we are interfering with the natural system. But we can only interfere to that extent where we don't totally upset the apple cart. Biodiversity in simple terms has 3 or 4 major components. One is the soil component, that is, as I told you, is the soil fertility. When I mean soil health, it is not soil nutrition, it is the soil health. That is what our Prime Minister means. Another one is the water. Another one is the natural diversity of crops and the types of crops that were associated. We had in case of rice, hundreds of varieties, hundreds of wheat varieties, hundreds of pulses we were growing in this country. Unfortunately, in the name of development, this has totally shrunk to very, very few varieties, and monocropping has become order of the day. Extensive use of fertilizers and pesticides have killed all the beneficial organisms and the pollinators, so that the future itself looks a little bit in a disarray. Agriculture biodiversity is not these 4 components acting in isolation. It is also their interactions of all these. And we, in order to understand agriculture biodiversity, for example, all of us know Delhi, we were telling it is highly polluted. When everybody said polluted, polluted, unless we measured pollution, we could not take any policy decisions. Similarly, if a child is having fever, it could be 98.6, which is normal, or it could be 103.5 high fever. Our decision making process depends on how we measure a phenomenon. Likewise, if you measure to what extent our agriculture biodiversity is good or bad, I think that is the time our policy makers, for example, we are now doing water harvesting. We have to make sure that every farmer has a Kisan health card. We are moving to biofertilizers and biopesticides. We want to, organic farming is gaining momentum. Grow more trees is a campaign. What is it that we are doing? We are all trying to encourage biodiversity, but it should go on a scientific pathway, measurable pathway, so that we can make real policy decisions which is helping the farming community.
என்ன நேயர்களே, இந்த வாரம் டாக்டர் கிருஷ்ணகுமார் என்னென்ன சொன்னார், பாரம்பரிய மாடுகள் பராமரிப்பை பற்றி, இளைஞர்கள் எப்படி இந்த லைனில் விவசாயத்தில் வந்து ஈடுபடுறதை பற்றி, அவரோட எண்ணங்கள் என்ன அப்படின்றத பகிர்ந்துக்கிட்டார்.
ஆக்சுவலி பயோவர்சிட்டி இன்டர்நேஷ்னல் சர்வதேச அளவிலான ஒரு அமைப்பு இது. ஸோ சர்வதேச அளவில் இந்த அமைப்பு எதெல்லாம் வந்து டீல் பண்ணுறாங்க, அவங்க சந்திக்கிற சவால்கள்லாம் என்னென்ன, இதெல்லாம் தான் நம்ம அடுத்த வார நிகழ்ச்சியில் அவரோட பேசுறது மூலமாக தெரிஞ்சுக்க போகிறோம். டாக்டர் N.K. கிருஷ்ணகுமார் அவர்களோட நான் சந்திப்பு அடுத்த வாரமும் தொடரும். மீண்டும் அடுத்த நிகழ்ச்சியில் சந்திப்போம். நன்றி, வணக்கம்.
பொதிகை சமூகத்தின் மகிழ்ச்சி.